Good evening, and welcome to the Board of Kettleville Hills Commissioners meeting. If you'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if you will, please join us for a moment of silence before we start our meeting. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. First up this evening is agenda approval. Is there a motion? Well, actually, if you don't mind, before you, yeah, I would like to suggest one change this evening on our agenda. Under introductions and presentations, currently we have item number 4, which is artwork presentations for Trash Attack and the cigarette butt cleanup campaign. We have that as item number 4. Because we have some young folks in our audience, I would like to suggest that we move that up to item number 1. Having a 3.5-year-old and a 5.5-year-old, I understand these meetings might be a little much to sit in for a long time. So if you guys don't mind, if we could move that, and with that, a motion would be in order.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda and as modified.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. All right, so this evening we have 2 public hearings on our agenda, so we'll move through these public hearings. The first is on proposed amendment to Chapter 153 zoning. This is Section 153.077 signs. And this is to add regulations for decorative flags at commercial structures. And Greg, would you like to do an introduction for us on this item?
Make sure I get the right spot.
Sorry, I know he's been loading all the PowerPoints for tonight.
The Community Appearance Commission has requested that the Board of Commissioners consider revisions to enhance the overall appearance of the town. And part of that was through looking at our flag ordinance. And the Board of Commissioners heard from the Community Appearance Commission and forwarded this effort on to the Planning Board, who reviewed all the issues that have to do with flags in Kettleville Hills that were discussed by the Community Appearance Commission. And then the Planning Board gave some direction. And they were trying to create flag condition regulations. We were noticing there were some torn flags, frayed flags, tattered flags, upside down flags, things you wouldn't even recognize as a flag. They were left out and they really weren't helping the appearance of the community. They were also talking about limiting the number of flags, particularly at shopping centers, strip malls, to 1 decorative flag. Currently you can have 2 per business. And to require flags be located on the business property and not 10 feet from a paved portion of the right-of-way, so the flags wouldn't fly out into the road or into sidewalks or multi-use trails. So on March 4th, the Planning Board reviewed and favored the amendment you're looking at tonight to 153.077 signs with a favorable recommendation. And at the conclusion of the public hearing, we're interested to hear what you have to say about it.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So at this time, we'll enter into the public hearing, and if anyone wishes to speak this evening on this particular topic, this is the time just specifically for speaking on this proposed amendment to Section 153 related to signs. We had a sign-up sheet, but no one signed up to speak at this public hearing. I will call from the floor to see if anyone would like to speak specifically on this topic. Is there anyone that would like to speak at this public hearing on the signs? Okay. Seeing no hands, we will close the public hearing. Thank you, Greg, for the introduction on that, and open the floor for discussion from the board or questions.
Yeah, I don't really care for this ordinance too much. There's a few things, like Part A, is this a violation of free speech? I mean, if they're not happy with their government and they wish to alter their flag and fly it in a manner to express their opinion, are we restricting their right to do that?
Steve, do you mind responding to that?
You're talking about the legal governmental flags displayed in a manner compliant with all laws.
Correct.
Well, that's pretty consistent with, what's already on the books. We're not writing new laws. We're not restricting anybody from doing it. We're just saying if you're going to display a governmental flag, it should be displayed in accord with the laws that are already on the books requiring how they're displayed. And, the other things you're talking about, obviously, you get into free speech issues, people who want to burn flags and things like that, and those have been addressed by the courts. So we're not trying to write anything new. We're just saying if you're going to display it, you're supposed to do it in accordance with what's already on the books and what's already been approved.
And to that, there were two, well, actually, there was one in an email earlier, Section 2A of the ordinance. If you remember, we received an email today modifying that sentence where it would read now, 2A should read, legal governmental flags displayed in a manner compliant with all laws. I did note, though, under E16, the end of that sentence, we may want to change that as well. I don't know, because it also ends in a legal manner. Perhaps we want to say not hanging, or not hanging in a manner compliant with all laws to be consistent.
That would make it consistent if you change that as well.
Do you see, are you following just
Right.
for that language? But Commissioner Midget, did you have other comments, though? As
Yeah,
you're starting on the list.
Yeah, let's see. Also, shouldn't it be up to the shopping center management to, allow how many flags that the strip shops are allowed to have out? I mean, isn't that their business?
Well, actually, I mean, that's what regulations from the town would go to establish that. I mean, if they want to set additional things, they probably can as a owner of that property. But the ordinance, or whether you can have flags or how many, really comes from town ordinances. Greg, did you have anything to add?
Well, I just neglected to say when I did my introduction that this is the ones that say open or eat here or something besides a state flag or a government flag. I dare say you can load as many American flags out there, and this ordinance doesn't change it as you can fit. So, as far as governmental flags, this doesn't affect that at all. So it's only for those flags that would fall under the sign ordinance as advertisement. And currently, you can have them, and there's regulations on them, and this is to modify and tweak them basically for appearance, which is what one of the major complaints was, is that the flags that you see a pole and then there's just some frayed material. It's not really even a flag anymore, and people just, for some reason, don't want to take them down and put a new flag up, or just take them down. And then the other thing is that in front of the shopping center, you can get pretty busy to have 10 stores and everybody puts up 2 flags. So one flag was recommended. So those are the 2 major changes from what we have on the books today.
Do you have additional comments?
Yeah. Also, I don't know about the 2-inch frayed. It's having a frayed flag. I can understand if it's just a few threads left. That's obviously they're neglecting that. But if it's kind of an older flag, I mean, isn't that a sign that the business has been in business quite a long time? That their flag is slightly worn. I mean, I just feel that we're it should be up to the customer. If they see a flag that they don't like, that's because it's been neglected. Shouldn't they just not shop there? I mean, it just sort of looks like we're interfering with the free market almost. Trying to make these businesses look better than what they actually are.
I think we have quite a few, I think, ordinances and codes that address how businesses should look with their signage and their glazing on the building, the glass, architecture, landscaping. I have feelings about the flags other than what I'm saying right now, but I don't think that that's any different than us saying that your business should look nice. I think that's a matter of opinion, obviously, but I think if we can regulate those other things, there's I think we're perfectly within our rights to regulate the flags, how they appear.
Anyone else? My concern would be most of our ordinances are complaint driven. So as we get into some of these that are, I mean, in previous discussions, it's been mentioned that we weren't going to patrol. We weren't going to actively, the town wasn't going to actively look for these types of situations. However, a 1-inch or a 2-inch fray or tear is fairly minimal. In fact, I mean, this past week you could have gone through a couple flags if you didn't take them in. They're expensive, and 1 inch is probably a little much. If we're, I mean, I understand the ones that are hanging on by 1 or 2 threads, but I think we might be getting into a little extreme on that. I think we've got a couple of situations within the town that we can acknowledge that are issues, and I'm not sure we need to necessarily regulate every business, would be my feeling.
Do you have any comments?
I think you've got to start somewhere, and I think this is. I think this is okay. I mean, I think it's a good starting place. I know we fly flags, and if we've got a 2-inch fray, it's past where I want it to be. So we're past the point of where we want to replace a flag. So I think we're definitely. I think this is definitely a reasonable ordinance. So that's just my thought process. If I'm looking down a line of 10 flags and they're all with 2-inch frays, it's pretty unsightly. So I think we're well within reason of putting that ordinance in there. And again, it is, as you say, complaint driven. So if somebody's going to take the time to make a call, that means it's bothering them.
Member Pro Tem Hogan, any comments?
No, I don't. I didn't want the flags at all, so I'll just stay out of it.
Okay.
So-
Yes.
So it's my understanding that the government flags are exempt from these other rules?
The government flags are subject to the being compliant with laws affecting government flags. We're not adding any new legislation related, which we couldn't, to government flags. So,
Yeah, you can't stop anybody from flying an American flag. Those regulations are beyond our purview right here.
Right, but with the tears and the frays.
There are already rules, for
Right.
what you're
Okay.
supposed to do with a torn American
Okay.
flag, a frayed American flag. We're not writing new rules for that.
to add my comments on this topic, one, when we put in place more than a year ago the Community Appearance Commission, we tasked them with identifying items throughout our town that we thought would enhance the appearance by addressing those items. And so first, I just commend the work that the Community Appearance Committee has done to recognize what issues exist in our town that really could, if they were remedied or addressed, could make the overall town appearance better. And that really was the gist of why this ordinance was presented to the planning board and then to us, these changes. Commissioner Appleman recognized we do have a few issues in town where, unfortunately, and as you indicated, Commissioner Midget, where the business owners, maybe they should be looking after their flags better, but they're not. And right now, we don't have any teeth to enforce anything. So without an ordinance that addresses this and tries to get compliance from businesses, we can't do anything. We could go ask, but I don't know that there would be compliance. So this gives us, if we have a complaint from another business that's trying to keep their business looking great and the business beside them has torn and tattered and really horrendous looking flags, now we actually, if we adopted an ordinance like this, would have something where with that complaint coming in, staff could go talk to them. And they have the option, if they can't afford the flag, then don't fly it, So, but they then have some options. Again, and this is all in the manner of trying to make the town look the best possible for our citizens and our visitors. So from my vantage point, I support this because I do think it's a step in the right direction to do that. I have not received any emails from any business owners opposing this. I know we, at the last meeting, announced that we would be scheduling the public hearing. We didn't have any business owners come speak. Whether that's because they know about it or not, I don't know. Certainly when there's issues that have been really adversarial, we seem to be able to fill a room. But that's my position on this. We, as far as our action tonight, what we want to do, basically we can approve it, we can disapprove it, or we can table it for further discussion. But I think really at this point it's a matter of the board making a motion to start and see which direction they want to go in. So, anyone like to make a motion? Well, we'll have to make a motion of some sort. One of those three options, we have to take some action, either approve it, make the motion to approve it, make the motion to not approve it, or make a motion to table it.
I will make a motion that we add the regulations for flags at the commercial structures for the proposed zoning amendment 153.077 signs. It is consistent. The proposed amendment to 153.077 signs to add regulations for flags at commercial structures is consistent with all comprehensive plans and other official adopted plans of the town of Kill Devil Hills that are applicable. The amendment is reasonable and in the public interest because it will further contribute to the town's appearance by cleaning up flags that are in poor condition.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? I will second. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, signal by saying nay.
Nay.
Okay, so the motion does not carry. Okay, so for those in the audience, there's no change to our current flag ordinance. If you're wondering what the outcome is, it's gonna, at this point, stay where it is. With that, we will move on then to the second public hearing this evening. This is a proposed amendment to section 153.002 definitions and section 153.053B 2B zoning nonconformity. This is to correct the definition of alteration, structural, and delete duplicated definition as listed and add structural alterations to zoning nonconformity. It's a mouthful. We will ask for Greg to put a layman's term description on that, please.
It's pretty complicated to even do that, but I hope this one's less complicated for the board than the last one.
Absolutely.
Basically, what we have here is two definitions in our code, and we'd like to make them consistent in one definition. That's the first part of it. So they're hence alteration structural and structural alteration. And we want them to say the same thing. And we also would like to amend the nonconformity section to allow structural alterations as one of the options. We have it in our definition, but actually in the nonconformity section, we don't list where you can use it. So, but we have a current practice of using this because it really makes sense and it helps people. So we just like to codify that, really. And Both changes are housekeeping, and we hope it will eliminate duplication and make the code more flexible, really. And on March 4th, the planning board recommended approval of this amendment, and staff does as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll be opening the public hearing on this particular proposed amendment. Again, this is a time set aside just to provide comments to the board on this specific amendment. We had a sign-up sheet for this public hearing. There were no signatures. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this topic? Anyone? Okay, seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing and open the floor for discussion by board members or questions. Questions?
No.
No? Comments?
Just one question. I know we had a building that was damaged during the storm. Is this something that's going to allow future repairs to be resolved without
That's
huge?
part of the intent of this modification,
Okay.
to add more flexibility.
That's the only question I have.
Great. Anything? Anything? Any comments?
No, I'm sorry, I'm good. No,
Okay,
I'm
a
good.
motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed zoning amendment 153.002, definitions and 153.053B2b, zoning nonconformity. The proposed amendment to 153.002 definitions and 153.053B2b zoning nonconformity to correct definition of alteration, structural, and add structural alteration to zoning nonconformity is consistent with all comprehensive plans and other official adopted plans for the town of Kill Devil Hills that are applicable. The amendment is reasonable and in the public interest because it allows more opportunity for improvement to nonconforming structures.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so those proposed changes will be made. Thank you. Okay, next we're moving on to the time on the agenda that's set aside for public comment. This is a time that's set aside for anyone who wishes to speak to the board on any topic, that they can approach the podium there. You have, if you're speaking as an individual, we ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you're speaking on behalf of a group, please limit your comments to 5 minutes. And we do have a new timer system that we have been able to install. Those of you who have attended the county meetings have seen where they have the green light, yellow light when you're getting close to your time, and the red light. We've added this here because we didn't have anything in the past, and in fairness, when we have large groups, in fairness to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to speak and that we're not here till 9 or 10 o'clock, we've been able to add this feature, so appreciate that. We did have one person that signed up on the sign-up sheet, which we'll start with them, but then afterwards I'll call from the floor if there is anyone that wishes to speak at this public comment time, and then we'll move on from there. So on the sign-up sheet, we have Mr. Walter McGill. Welcome. And if you'll identify yourself, even though I already introduced Walter, but if you'll introduce yourself, please, by name and address before you speak, that would be wonderful.
Okay. My wife Barbara McGill and myself, I'm Pastor Walter McGill from Guys, Tennessee. And I have today launched a crosswalk going across America to Santa Monica Pier, California. We chose Kill Devil Hills for its historic significance, and as a pastor, I liked the Kill Devil part. You know, there's a phenomenon called bystander effect. Bystander effect. That's where somebody can be murdered or raped in a public place. People onlooking but doing nothing. And they're waiting for someone else to do something. And in my travels in America, I'm only finding 1 out of 5 people that say they like everything that's going on in this country. And so I decided I'm not going to be a bystander. my grandfather and grandmother told me, if you're going to talk the talk, you must walk the walk. And so this is a radical illustration of walking the walk. And one last thing, there's a famous quotation, we don't know who wrote it or said it, but it's something like, all tyranny has to gain a foothold is for people of good conscience to remain silent. And before I close, I would like to give a memento of this historic walk to the mayor. Please.
Well, thank you, certainly. Thank you.
We wish your community God's best.
Thank you, and thank you for what you're doing, and congratulations and good luck.
Thank
So
you.
thanks for choosing Kildable Hills to start your journey.
I made 15 miles today.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak at this public comment time? I know we have lots of presentations, so maybe that's what most of you are here for. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Okay. We will close public comment. Response to public comment. Is it Reverend or Pastor McGill?
I don't go by Reverend. Pastor is good enough.
Pastor's good enough. Well, again, thank you for choosing Kildable Hills to start your journey and being with us tonight, and best wishes on your travels.
Some may have read, I'm probably the second oldest man to ever try this. 68 years old. Pray for me, please.
Absolutely. That's great.
Congratulations,
That's
thank
great.
you.
Okay, we'll move on to introductions and presentations. And as we amended the agenda, the first presentation this evening is going to be on the artwork presentations for Trash Attack. This was previously number 4, and the cigarette butt cleanup campaign. This is really exciting tonight. We have several of our youth community members here with us, and I'd like to introduce Chris Merrick. Thank you. Chris is one of the co-chairs. I think it's just happened by default because he was doing such a great job, and we needed the extra help, and he's been phenomenal with helping us get Trash Attack moving along with our other committee members. And Chris is going to provide kind of an update of what's going on with Trash Attack, but really focus on this exciting artwork campaign. So Chris, welcome, and thank you, and I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I also want to introduce Ms. Sue Kelly is with me tonight. We're both members of the CAC committee, and she's going to have a few words, if that's okay as well. It's concerning Trash Attack. The Trash Attack program so far has been wonderful, and the students really came out and supported us. You're seeing artwork in front of you there, and then also on the partition over there with our winner at the top by Haley Scarborough. And so what I wanted to do real quickly is tell you that we promoted this contest through the internet with Facebook and the Kildable Hills website. We also had posters going out in the Dare County school system, and we had a really nice first year of reinstating this from the 1990s participation from the kids. So at this time, I would like to introduce the winners, if we could, please. And children, if you are one of the winners and you're here tonight, we want to have a photo opportunity. So Madam Mayor, if they may go up, I think as I call you, come by and be handed your award and then go up. And if it's okay with you, we'll
Yeah, they'll
just
come
do it
stand
quickly
over here
that
by
way.
me. That would be great.
And so I'd like to start with Anna Ryan Brown, please, if you're here tonight. Okay. Lucy Stetcher. Lucy, are you here? Congratulations. Okay, Brady Hill, please. And Molly, do you want to come too? Molly Hill. Wow, it's a family affair. Charlotte Miller, I don't think you're here tonight. Haley McFadden. Sophie Merrick, I know you're here tonight. And Lena, big sister, would you go up with Sophie? Yeah. Lena has 2. She was our runner-up, and Haley Scarborough was an awesome winner, and she was also getting 2 tonight because she, she did. We did an additional cigarette pickup campaign that we're going to talk about in a minute. And anyway, Haley, great job. Take your 2 up there and. There you go. Great.
Show your art. You guys want to show your artwork?
Yeah, you guys want to.
Pictures. So Mr. John's getting some pictures and some of your parents. And we're proud of you for what you did, and thank you for helping us with our work with the trash attack. One thing that thanks Mary for helping us with this, if I can show the audience yours, Lucy. Each of the children are holding the artwork that they turned in, and we were able to get these put on what is this called?
Vinyls.
Like a vinyl, so they can pull this off and put their artwork, hang it in their room or something. So this is a vinyl piece. You can hang it on anything you want. We have actually made a couple of big ones. And if you look outside, we have some of our trash trucks outside. And we actually put them on the side of our trash trucks. So now when you're seeing trash vehicles, Mary's raising that. You can look out the window. So I know Ms. Scarborough, your artwork is on our trash truck. So you'll see that driving through our town. Your parents might want to get a picture of that with you before you leave. But anyway, we're excited that you all helped us with this. And the artwork, the other reason we're doing the poster contest, or the artwork, is it's now going to be on the poster that we're advertising in the trash attack. Thank you guys very much.
And a quick note to everybody, Trash Attack will take place on Saturday, May 10th, and we'll be meeting in Aviation Park at 9 a.m., and we're going to have refreshments. You can register on the website at Kill Devil Hills, KDHNC right now, but also you can register that morning. We're going to have free T-shirts for the kids. It's really a neat thing that is coming back, that was done in the 90s, and we're excited about it. And Sue Kelly, Sue, did you want to say anything, or did I say everything, or?
I think you covered it all,
Okay.
and I think the exciting part was the young people.
Yeah.
As long as people know to turn out for Trash Attack and bring your friends.
Yes.
It's gonna be fun. And you get, the first 100 people get a T-shirt, and we're gonna feed you with coffee and pastries in the morning, and after we're all done, there's pizza. So please, May 10th at Aviation Park.
Thank you. I want to introduce Ross Cipriano. He is going to talk to us about the portion of this, which is a cigarette butt campaign, and also a little bit about the trucks. And, thank you, Ross.
That's great.
Welcome,
Ross.
what we're going to do with these, we've put them on metal sign blanks, and we're actually going to hang them. Some are going to go on lifeguard stands. Some are going to go at trash cans on the beach. So, every access will probably end up getting one, even the sound side accesses at our trash stations. We also have the big green cigarette butt disposal. We've got 4 of those, and we're going to put those at 4 locations on the beach so that people can properly dispose, and it's kind of a test project to see, working with the Butts Off the Beach campaign that the commissioners asked for. And then we're also going to do, we're looking at 3 commercial garbage trucks with the stickers, and then 3 residential, so that we'll cover everywhere with the trucks. And so hopefully real soon you'll be seeing those all over town.
That's excellent. Thank you so much for the work with that, and it's great. Neat, really neat. And the trash trucks look great.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, they look really nice. So,
That's great.
thank you. Okay. All right. Any questions or comments? No? Okay. All right. Next, we'll move on to, which was number 1 under introductions. We have a couple of groups here from the First Light High School Civics class. Greg, I'm not sure which order you have them in.
Okay.
Okay. So the first presentation, as I understand it, is by Audrey Bunn, Charlie Swanner, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Alexis Schmidt, Charles Edwards, and Samuel Beecham. So welcome.
All right, we have a proposal to have KDH roadkill cleaned up. The streets have been full of it. I'm Charlie Swanner.
I'm Audrey Bond.
Samuel Beecham.
Would you like for me to advance the slides for you?
Yes.
Raise your finger, one of you raise your finger.
Why this matters is because seeing roadkill in the streets is depressing. It smells. Outer Banks especially is a tourist destination, and it's ugly for tourists to see and locals even. And fresh roadkill are host to many harmful diseases.
All right, the hazards of roadkill. There are hazardous body fluids in the roadkill that can get in the water table and contaminate our drinking water. And the large carcasses can be dangerous to vehicles such as motorcycles because it can cause them to swerve around and it can be a destructive thing. And cars that run over large roadkill can damage their tires and suspension.
There's many possible diseases that you can get from roadkill. There's salmonella that can be carried by rodents, birds, turtles, and other small animals. Parasites can go from the dead animals to your pets if they go over towards them. And ticks can carry Lyme disease and Rocky Mountain spotted fever and many other diseases that you can get from them.
There are many ways to come in contact. Pets that have gotten away from their homes or even just roaming their yards can go over to dead animals and eat them, or even just sniff them and catch disease or a parasite or pest. And there's always a possibility that joggers or bikers may run over the carcasses or even vehicles or motorcycles.
When cars run over roadkill, blood and body fluids splatter over anything around them on the car and spread even further than just the roadkill itself. And improper sterilization when roadkill is clean can cause contamination just from the area, even if the body isn't there.
Cleanups will take place only if the carcass is large enough to threaten motorcyclists.
Motorists
Sorry.
kill the hills at all.
We should take action by assigning daily partner patrols that can go and pick up roadkill on the streets, and the town sanitation center phone numbers should be posted so that the citizens can report any animals that have been hit, and they should be disposed in landfills or other facilities that will take roadkill.
And with our partner patrols idea, our idea was to have every week or so have 2 people drive around Killable Hills to find roadkill and clean it up, and in the summer maybe every day at a dawn patrol and at night because it's unsightly.
Is this where you were?
Let's go to the next one after that.
Okay.
All right, to correctly dispose of roadkill, you have to pick up the carcasses with full gear like gloves and everything, face masks to prevent any kind of airborne disease. You have to seal the carcasses tightly, probably in some kind of plastic bag or something like that to prevent the spread of any kind of airborne disease or fluids. And you're supposed to hose down the area by not quite bleach, but just some kind of disinfectant or ammonia onto the contaminated pavement just to get rid of all the flesh and blood and everything that's still carrying disease.
With the budget, we'd have to pay public works officials to patrol and clean the roads, gas for the vehicles for the morning patrols and necessary roadkill upkeep, any cost for the disposal of the roadkill, and responders to roadkill report calls.
All right, what's on the streets? These are going to be pictures of the roadkill we found between the short time period of January 6th and January 10th. So here we have a raccoon that was found on the intersection of Killable Hills, and it is very hard to identify it because it's been run over so many times.
This is a bird that was found in the middle of a path by a sidewalk.
Right next to the road where everybody walks.
This is a completely decayed deer found in Ocean Acres next to the road. It's obviously been there for an extremely long amount of time because it's been completely eaten away by other animals. So that's definitely a hazard.
And with the deer, you can tell it was just somebody tried to remove it, but they just put it on the side of the road. It was just a little bit off of the road. And here's a squirrel, which are seen most commonly as roadkill in Kellyville Hills, in the middle of a lane where most cars pass by.
And here we have an animal that has been hit so many times that we can't recognize what kind of animal it is, and it is in front of the Compass Rose, and it is pretty messy. It's been there a while.
I think that's all.
Okay.
Thank you for having us.
Sure, thank you guys. Does anyone have any questions or comments for the group?
I think that was a great presentation, and I know that can be a problem. We had one on our street, and I didn't notice it until I realized it was there because I smelled it. So that can be a problem, and that might be something we want to look into for sure. If we don't have a budget to do it all the time, maybe use the citizens to alert us and have a hotline. I believe you mentioned something like that, to have somebody call Public Works. And especially in the summertime when they sort of go bad a little quicker and be more offensive to our visitors, maybe we can arrange to have something done during that season through the town. I think it's a very good presentation. Thank you very much.
Great presentation.
Very good.
You got me with the squirrel picture, though.
Yeah.
Question for one of the comments was, it's only typically picked up if it's large enough to be a hazard, or what's
If you don't mind, Dana, do you mind coming up? And because we are fortunate in Kellyville Hills, we have our own animal control branch. But Dana can explain the difference between when we pick it up through our animal control or when it may be a DOT issue. But I will say one thing before, Dana, you get into it, and you're probably going to reiterate this, but we can't pick it up if we don't know it's there. So one of the best takeaways I have from your presentation is the awareness component of making sure that people call if they do see it. Because certainly you had a couple of pictures of things that have probably been there a long, long time, and we may or may not have known that it was there. But Dana, do you mind giving just an overview of what we do in Kellyville Hills?
Well, when our officers are out there and they see it, animal control's usually called out when they're working, and they'll go out there and pick it up when it's safe. And you got a lot of traffic out there, and it's bumper to bumper, even with blue lights or animal control trucks. Sometimes it takes a while for you can get the small animal off the road. But the larger animals, like on US 158 and NC-12, are governed by DOT, Department of Transportation. We'll get them off the road like a large deer, and they'll come pick them up for us. That might take a day or two, but we get them off as soon as we can. As the small animals like the birds, they're off on the shoulders, as the mayor said, unless you call us and let us know about it, we can't pick them up. And we're glad to pick them up if we know about it. It's just, we don't like to see them out there, and that squirrel was fresh, apparently. So, did you call us and let us know about it? Oh, okay. So, okay. But we pick them up as soon as we can and everything, and that's what we did. And then we dispose them properly, as you say. We put them in a container, seal it, and then put it in another container, which is then taken to manually to the landfill and disposed of. As to what the state does with them, I don't know on that part of it. Is there any other questions, or does that answer pretty good for you?
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Dana.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dana.
And I will say, students, I think you guys did a great job with your professionalism, with your presentation. Several either slides that you had in your PowerPoint or some of the pictures made even us as adults try to refrain from giggling or laughing, and you guys did a great job. You held yourselves together professionally, and so thank you very much for that. Well done.
We didn't giggle.
I don't know if you ever giggle, but sorry. Anyway.
Generally, I don't giggle.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, we have another group here with us this evening. As I understand, Park Kelly and Jack Brady. There may be others, and if so, you can all identify yourselves when you come to the podium, please. This is another group from the First Flight High School Civics class.
I'm Jack Brady. I'm Connor Hughes.
I'm Dylan Clow.
I'm Parks Kelly.
And I'm Benjamin Rolston. We're here today because we've gone around to the beach accesses and noticed that a couple of them just look like they need a little bit of improvement. You go out there, it's just the parking lot, straightaway sand. There's no showers, no bathrooms, no facilities whatsoever. And I think sometimes the tourists can pick up on that and eventually just start going to different beach accesses that have these facilities such as showers, bathrooms, bike racks, etc. And sometimes it can be way overcrowded. I don't know if y'all seen it in the summer, but I've seen it where it's so stacked it's hard to get in or out of the beach access, which I also see as could be a hazard, could be dangerous to people, just all that traffic in a small enclosed area. So on that note, we're going to start our presentation. Thank you for letting us be on the dock and talk to y'all tonight about this.
We'll go back one more.
Yes, please.
Okay, so our main problem is that many of our beach accesses don't have adequate utilities such as showers, bike racks, and restrooms. And as Ben said, that this can cause overcrowding at some of the more popular beach accesses. And we're going to give you some ways that we could possibly fix and add these utilities along with the prices and things like that.
So we went around to some local beach accesses here in Kill Devil Hills. We counted 26 of them, and about 9 of them had like lack of utilities such as like bike racks and showers and foot washes and everything. And
the 17 that did have them, not all of them had everything we mentioned. Most of them only had 1 or 2 of the utilities. Like most of them, they would just have a shower or just a bike rack. Alright, and so our solution is we would add these utilities to the beach accesses because they're relatively cheap and they will help our tourism. And the addition of bike racks, that will promote a more earth-friendly alternative to cars, which is obviously a big issue in today's society. And we'd like to make use of the new bike paths that we're getting in Kill Devil Hills.
Okay. Yeah. So what we did was we went on the internet and we went and looked up the commercial prices of some of the utilities that we would need, which would be bike racks, restrooms, and shower heads and foot washes. And there are the prices up there. And the restrooms, that's including the cost to rent the porta potties. And so it'd be 85 times the 12 months and then times that by 9 because there's 9 accesses. And on another note, we've kind of already started this sort of beach access refurbishment. Recently we had the addition of the recycling cans and the trash cans and things taking place. And we also have the Butts Off the Beach program as well.
All right, I think that's where we want to be. Is that where you want to be?
One more back.
Yep, one more back. There you go.
Okay, and there are 3 of possible options that we found of bike racks. And there's a website link there at the bottom, and it takes you to a whole website full of commercial bike racks that you can pick from. And they're all different prices, some hold different amounts of bikes and things like that. And this is our main choice that we picked for the
showers and faucet heads. It's called the Shower Tower, which is like the title of the website and the company as well. And it's just a very convenient, very kind of out of the way, it doesn't stick out too much way to have a shower and a foot wash at a beach.
Alright, benefits wouldn't just be for tourists, it'd be for locals too. Many locals visit the beach year round, and tourists would come and they enjoy the utilities for a week or so, depending on how long you're staying, but locals stay all year round. And the benefits would especially be to our tourism industry, and we feel that it would pay for the costs and more and help benefit our tourism.
One of the main reasons we would have this is because it would also get us sort of a repeat business. The tourists would say, "Oh, their nices are pretty nice," and they'd be more willing to come back down to our beach next year.
This is our last slide, so I'll try and hurry up. For the impacts, we didn't even know about the flags thing when we came here, so it looks like in our community, looking uniform and looking just nice overall seems to be an important aspect upon our community, which is a good thing. It makes people like to come here more. It looks just better on us as a whole. So we think that the addition of these facilities, would just entice people to come here more and would make the community look better.
Great.
And that's all.
Thank
Any
you,
questions?
guys.
Thank you very much. Very
That's
good.
great.
Anyone have any questions for the group or comments?
I like the idea of the bike racks on the beach. That's pretty good. I like that.
Gentlemen, did you guys happen to come up, I mean, obviously we can go look it up as well, but do you all have a list of which of those of our accesses that you assess do not have the bike racks?
We don't have a specific list of which ones do and don't have them, but we do have how many have them.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry?
We could get you one.
If you would like to do that, that would be great. Otherwise, we could do it. But if you all would take that upon yourselves and email it to us, that would be wonderful. I mean, I think it seems like there's some interest in the board in looking into, at least the first step with some maybe additional bike racks. That would be great. Okay. Again, great job with the presentation. Appreciate your professionalism and well spoken. So thank you all for looking into this for us and for being here with us tonight.
Thanks.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
you.
Good job.
Okay, next we'll move on to the next presentation, which is from the Outer Banks Sporting Events. So welcome. Linda, welcome.
Mayor Davies and members of the board. My name is Linda Wood. I'm the Executive Director of Outer Banks Sporting Events, and here with me I'd like to introduce to you our new race director. This is Dennis DiRamondo. He's been with us since September. He comes from Pennsylvania. He's been an endurance runner since middle school, and he has over 10 years of race direction experience. He's also run some races, marathons in Australia and other parts of the world. So he is quite experienced. We're excited to have his enthusiasm and fresh ideas for our organization. Thank you for letting us come tonight, and we would like to thank you and the board for your support for Outer Banks Sporting Events and the marathon since its inception in 2006. Two of our events run through your town, and you are always willing to work with us and partner with us to make them successful, and we can't thank you enough for that. We certainly appreciate working with your staff, and they're always helpful and cooperative. Outer Banks Sporting Events is a nonprofit. All of our proceeds remain in our own community. We raise money for public education and for our local citizens that are in need. We encourage our local citizens as well as those that we bring here to the Outer Banks to make healthy living lifestyle choices. And our events are purposefully scheduled during the shoulder season. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, Greg, you might have to do this for me. I'm sorry. This thing is very tricky. Go back to one more slide. Okay. During the shoulder season, so that we can help our businesses and the economic impact that it makes in our community when we most need it. We bring a large number of participants here. All of our events have 500 or more participants, as many as 7,500 during the marathon weekend, just in the participants alone. Last year, in 2013, from the information gathered from participant registration, 26% of the participants in our events last year were brand new to the Outer Banks. That means they had never been here before. And our hope, of course, is that they will enjoy their experience here and come back. This helps us provide money in our local community so that our local citizens are employed longer and keep their jobs. So we ourselves spend, we know, at least $100,000 or more in our own community through buying t-shirts and design work and rentals, such as renting porta potties and all the food and beverages that we need for our participants. Our 4 main events for 2014, the Flying Pirate Half Marathon and 5K, are coming up in 10 days. And so we're excited about that. The 5K will start and finish in your town at the Wright Memorial. So we appreciate your support there. And the half marathon will run through your town. Some of you, I think, might be participating in the 5K through the Couch to 5K program. Anybody in here participating in that? It's a local challenge, I know. And there's over 140 local citizens participating in that. So good luck. Storm the Beach. Kill Devil Hills hosted that last year for us, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate you helping us get that event kicked off. Is going to be at Jeanette's Pier in Nags Head this year. The weekend of June 14th and 15th. It's an obstacle course adventure race on the beach, and Dennis will show you some pictures from last year's event so you can see a little bit about what happened on the beach last year. The Outer Banks Triathlon Series is in September, and the Outer Banks Marathon, half marathon this year, 10K, 5K, and fun run is always Veterans Day weekend in November. There are a couple of things I'd like to tell you that you might not know about some of our events. We're getting some national publicity. The Outer Banks Triathlon was noted in Endurance Magazine, which is a national magazine for endurance sports participants, was noted as one of the top 4 triathlons in the state of North Carolina. The Outer Banks Marathon got a 3-page spread in Runner's World magazine in November, and also Coastal Living magazine, I don't know if any of you saw that, named the Outer Banks Marathon as one of the top 6 marathons, coastal marathons in the United States. We were up there along with Honolulu, Mount Desert, Kiowa, and another marathon that was in Florida and one in Texas. So we felt very honored to be named one of the top 6 marathons in the United States. And just recently, TripAdvisor named the Outer Banks Marathon the #1 destination marathon in the state of North Carolina. So we are getting national press, but we can't thank you for your support, our volunteers, and our sponsors for helping us do that. There are only 4 of us in our office, and there's no way we could do what we do without our community support. And we just want our community to know that these are community events, and we want you to know how much we appreciate it, and you should be proud of what you help happen in our community. I see our students here. They support us along the course, and we couldn't do it without them. Greg. I wanted to show you a couple of pictures from some of the events last year. This is from one of the mile markers from the North Carolina Aquarium, and these two participants were having so much fun, which is what the mile markers are all about, besides supporting the participants themselves, that they stopped and they took this picture and posted it on Facebook and sent it to us. So that just shows you the community support that we have. Next. We have events for all ages and all abilities. Let's see, 3 of our events have child-friendly, family-friendly parts to them, and we encourage everybody in our community and those that want to participate to make healthy living lifestyle choices. We encourage groups to come here and plan a vacation or a mini vacation. Bring your friends with you, and here's a picture of someone in your town actually doing that. Next. The Flying Pirate, this is just a picture that shows you how many people participate in some of these events. This is the finish line at the Flying Pirate last year. And we had over 2,000 participants, and you can see there are a lot of people there. We also wanted you to know that we partner with our military, especially Veterans Day weekend, when we feel it's very appropriate. We've done this in the past, and we did it also last year. We partnered with a battalion in Afghanistan. It's called a Shadow Race. 26 of their troops ran the half marathon, and we supported them by providing the hats and the medals and the t-shirts, and we encourage their participation. Even though they can't be here, if they want to participate, we will support them in doing that. We also encourage anyone to participate. This was a blind runner from last year. He ran the full marathon starting in Kitty Hawk and ending in Manteo. I should dare say I wouldn't be able to do that. But we've had blind runners in the past, and we also have a wheelchair division. And we usually have wheelchair participants almost every year. And we also have the multi-sports events for those that would like to do something other than just run, which the triathlon includes the cycling and the swimming. And the obstacle course, Storm the Beach, includes a lot of fun obstacles and things that we think anybody can do. And now Dennis would like to tell you a little bit about the economic development from these events.
Hi, everybody. I see I'm deep in the red, so I'll try to be quick here. Next, please. In 2013, the 4 events that we produce brought in a total economic impact of approximately $6.7 million. This number is based on the 9,700 estimated total finishers and their guests for approximately 30,000 visitors just from our events in 2013. Let me see if I can, okay, you got it. All right, when anybody registers for our event, they fill out a survey data so we get an idea of where they come from, how old they are, how long they're staying, and how many people they expect to bring with them. In 2013, we saw 10 different countries represented. Some of those countries include South Africa, Italy, Australia, Japan, Great Britain, Ireland, and of course Kenya and Ethiopia. We also saw 48 states represented last year. The only 2 states that we did not see a participant from were Alaska and Wyoming, which was pretty neat to see. 58% female participation rate, and the average rate was average age was 38 to 43. Based on that data, we are able to find out that they stayed an average of 2 nights, and they brought an average of 2 guests, which helped us compile our economic impact. And for the entire year, we saw 4,273 rooms rented and over 1,500 houses booked. Next. Specific to Kill Devil Hills, we saw approximately $1.5 million in economic impact. That's based on 2,203 participants and their guests for a total of 6,600 visitors just to this area. We base that on a daily per diem of $75 over 2 days for just shy of $1 million in economic money that has been spent in restaurants, shops, and other tourist attractions in Kill Devil Hills. And And then we also had, sorry, I lost it, 752 rental homes from our events last year, which with hotels and rental homes, another 500,000 approximately, and accommodations bring us back to that 1.5 million specific to Kildova Hills. Next. Since the beginning of the marathon 8 years ago, we are proud to say that we have helped raise approximately $38.5 million in economic impact. Next. And as you know, we are a nonprofit, and 100% of our net proceeds is donated and split between the Dare Education Foundation, which helps Dare County schools, and the Outer Banks Relief Foundation, which helps local community people in need, which is probably one of the coolest things of my job since I started here. Just a good feeling every single day with our work. And as Linda was saying, we do have Healthy Kids initiatives. We support the Go Far program. We provide kid and family-friendly events and races at 3 out of 4 of our events. Next. Just real quickly, I know last year Storm the Beach was held in Nags Head, in Kildova Hills, and if it wasn't for the success of the event last year, there's no way we'd be able to continue and grow the event this year in Nags Head, so I do thank you for that, because it has been a blast to start planning for me. Again, this is an event that has 3 different divisions, a 5-mile, 3-mile, and a 0.75-mile family team fun run. It is an event that is family friendly. I know there's a lot of races out there like Spartan races and Tough Mudders that are quite extreme. I assure you this one is based on participation from all levels. The next couple of slides are some pictures to kind of give an idea of the event. So next, please. We try to keep everything beach themed, so simple obstacles and agility activities such as running through beach blow-ups is one of them. As you can see, the tutu kind of showing off that these are fun, not extreme or super intense activities. Next. Utilizing local and regional things such as driftwood in the sand as an obstacle is another way to try to draw in the beach and the local destination. Next. And of course, fun for all ages. The fun part for me in this slide is not so much the kid with the flag, but his father dressed identical to him crawling behind him in the upper right corner. So really showing that family bonding experience out on the beach. Next. And then of course we try to make this a team-based activity, so the strongest member and your weakest link all working together to finish the race as a team. Again, memories, bonding experience during their trip to the Outer Banks. And for those people who want more of a challenge, this obstacle in the past had different weighted sandbags. So if you wanted more of a challenge, you could pick the heavier one. If you simply wanted to get through the obstacle, you could choose one of the lighter weighted bags. And the favorite obstacle, for whatever reason, people like to crawl over walls. And so this is actually the largest of the wall options we have. It's actually in a series of 4 walls. Next. Oh, I thought there was another slide. And so that kind of gives you a better idea of Storm the Beach as a race, and I hope you all consider it. Trends and challenges for 2014. As I said earlier, predominantly female, 60% female. The only event that was different was, for whatever reason, the triathlon actually had a 60% male participation rate. It was the only other one. Every other race was heavy with 60% female. The triathlon continues to grow and sell out. For the last 2 years, we've sold out that race, and we are close to 40% of our sales so far, or our registration rate so far, and the race is until September. So growth is going very strong. Shorter events continue to grow. As many of you know, our 5K sold out very quickly this year for Flying Pirate, and we see growth in the 5K and 10K as well in November. And then larger events. When this slide was made, we had seen a trend of the longer races like the half marathon and marathon plateauing. However, the national trend data for 2013 came in, and we have seen an 8% growth in the longer distances nationwide, as well as for us last year. So strong potential that we can continue to grow our marathon and half marathon races in the future. And then challenges, as many of you know, parking for the expo site that we have has been a challenge in the past. We're working on signage and logistics to keep the flow of traffic as contained and as tolerable as possible. And then competition this year was the first time Raleigh had a rock and roll marathon, which is one of the reasons why we pushed our Flying Pirate to May this year. All that really means is that we have to come up with new and exciting ways to retain our current member or our current registration base and to attract new people to the beach and to our races. And then, of course, as we grow, the need for volunteer support from the community and through school organizations, which has been very helpful in the past, is there as well. And back to Linda. Only a couple minutes over.
At this time, on behalf of the Dare Education Foundation, the Outer Banks Relief Foundation, and Outer Banks Sporting Events, we'd like to present to you some art prints, some framed art prints from the Outer Banks Marathon. We thank you so much for your support. We thank you for partnering with us since 2006. And truly, we could not do what we do without your support and the support of our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you
both
very
very
much.
much. We appreciate
Thanks.
it. Have a great spot. We already have a great spot, so thank you. We'll add to the collection. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Questions or comments?
No.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on then now to our next presentation. Rick Gray is here with the Community Care Clinic of Dare. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening. Good to see you again.
You too. Welcome.
I'm here twofold. One is, first of all, of course, is to thank you, the town of Kill Devil Hills, for your ongoing and continuing support of the Community Care Clinic of Dare. We also appreciate the fact that you recognize what we do. Secondly, is I'd like to give you an update as to what has taken place within the clinic since last year. I'd like to tell you that as of this week, since our inception in 2005, we have now registered and seen over 2,900 patients. We now have 700 active patients, and with our patients, we continue to provide basic health care to them. 2/3 of our patients, I've told you this in the past, 2/3 of our patients have a chronic illness, hypertension, diabetes, COPD, or thyroid condition. We help them manage these diseases. We also continue to do our medication assistance, where we annually help facilitate approximately $1.5 million worth of retail value of prescription medications for our patients, free of charge to them. We've had, what I really want to talk about too was 4, I think, fairly significant events that have happened in the last 12 months that I want to share. One is we have relocated. Some of you know I've been with the clinic for 3 years. We've moved twice in 3 years. I'm kind of hoping that that's behind us now. But we're now at 425 Health Center Drive. I love the address. That's at the end of Barnes Street in Nags Head. It's what I'm told is the original medical clinic in Dare County, the old Outer Banks Medical Center. As you know, it converted to Coastal Studies Institute. When they moved out, went to Skyco, we talked with Town of Nags Head. Town of Nags Head has been very supportive of us as well, and we have moved into that building. It's a lot more efficient for us. It's centrally located, and it's very private too. We appreciate that. I'd also like to let you know that it also represented an 83% reduction in rental expense for us, so that was truly significant. Second, it's going on as we speak. We're implementing the Allscripts professional suite. This is a practice management program software, and also it includes electronic health records. We're extremely excited about going to electronic health records. This is funded by Blue Cross Blue Shield. We think this will increase our efficiency tremendously. And selfishly speaking, it's going to make generating reports so much easier. Right now, it's a kind of odious task for us with paper charts and have to go through it manually. So we'll be able to give much finer, detailed reports and have a greater understanding of what's going on within the clinic. So we're really excited about that. Third, and maybe the most important for us, is we applied for and were awarded a community health center grant. And with that, we were able to hire our own mid-level medical provider. We hired Ava Johnson, who is a family nurse practitioner. Prior to her coming on board, we were dependent on medical providers who owed their employment allegiance elsewhere. And by having our own mid-level provider, it's just the rippling effect of that is just tremendous. It's really has just, we've taken a quantum leap by having this person. We have not had, since she's come on board, we've not had to cancel any clinics, which was a problem with us before. We have increased clinic hours. We've increased the hours where patients can pick up medications. We have, one of the offshoots of it is, of course, is the continuity of care. We have that one person overseeing all the case management. It's just a tremendous boon for us. We're really exceptionally pleased about that. Lastly is we recognize the fact, as a 501c3, dependent on grants and charitable giving and donations, we understand that we are far more dependent on that than we'd like. I think we're kind of in a stage where we have somewhat stabilized. I think we've moved our last time. I've been there for 3 years. I hope to be there to continue on. But we feel like it's time that we need to start working on our own sustainability. So over the last 12 months, we have hosted 2 inaugural fundraising events. And just this past February, we had an evening of jazz. Dr. John Sanchez is our medical director, and he's quite the accomplished jazz trumpeter. And so we did a night of jazz at Kelly's. We think about 200 people participated. Upstairs and downstairs was full. We look forward to doing that again. We will do that again next year. Also, we did a bike fun run last October. It was successful for us. We want to expand on that and do that again this year. I would like to say that we're partnering this year with Dare Casa, and we think the resources, their resources and our resources together really will be beneficial, and we'll reap a lot more from that. So we're excited about that as well. With that, I would just like to say that on behalf of my board of directors, our staff and volunteers, and especially our patients, we thank you, the town of Kill Devil Hills.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any questions or comments for Rick? Great work that you all do there in the service to those who can't afford health care. So I appreciate everything. And if you'll let us know when you have your dates for your different fundraising events, we at least can make a announcement of those.
Yes, I certainly will. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, great. All right, we'll move on. Actually, we don't have any old business on our agenda tonight, so we'll move on to new business. Item number 1 under new business is to actually recommendation for scheduling 3 public hearings. The first public hearing is on a conditional use site plan for the KDH Wastewater Treatment Plant LLC at 801 Bermuda Bay Boulevard, the G&I zone, private ownership. This is for proposed building removal, dense vegetation buffering, and 616 square foot tanker shelter. We'll take these as a description individually, and then we can address how we want to handle those, either as a group or individually. Greg, may I call on you for an introduction?
Yes, ma'am.
Please, thank you.
Actually, I think you summarized it pretty well in terms of what they intend to do, which one is remove a building, which actually it's already been done. The building was in poor repair, and it was removed earlier this year. I guess, no, it was last year, late last year. And now they're asking to amend the conditional use site plan to say, we don't want the building, we don't want to put it back. But they also want to add some vegetative buffer, and they also want to put a shelter over the UV tanks. So those are the main issues. There was one note that was modified that makes the planning board condition go away. they put a note to say that they would have an RPZ testable backflow preventer, and that's on the plan. So I think this plan is right to go to public hearing.
Okay,
And the
great.
planning board recommended it on, let me see what the date was, March 18th.
All right, thank you. And Eddie Goodrich is here if anyone does have any questions. We'd like to go ahead and discuss this and consider scheduling the public hearing. Thank you. Any comments or questions?
No.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to schedule this for the May 12th? This public hearing for the May 12th meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, thank you. The next one, under B, is proposed amendment to Chapter 153, zoning section 153.073F, landscaping requirements, perimeter landscaping areas. This is to clarify perimeter landscaping requirements for commercial sites. Greg, anything to add to that one?
Yes, I can add a little more to that one.
Okay.
This amendment doesn't really change the number of plants required, but it clarifies that buffers between incompatible uses can also be used as the perimeter landscaping, which really wasn't clear in our ordinance before. And it also establishes that the required landscape areas be placed between the property line and any fence that an applicant may want. And that's been an issue in the past because some people may decide they want a fence and for either security or to use as a buffer, but it doesn't make the perimeter landscaping go away. You still have to do the perimeter landscaping. And then they might say, well, let me put it on the inside of the fence because I put my fence too close to the property line. So this kind of clarifies that when you do that, the buffer has to actually, the perimeter landscape has to actually work for the public rather than inside the fence. And it also relocates the landscaping requirements from our commercial exterior section of the code back into the landscaping section. And that is truly just a housekeeping effort. And the planning board voted to move it forward with favorable consideration on April 1st, and staff recommends setting this hearing on May 12th as well.
All right, thank you. And if you all recall, this came up, and it's also noted in our packet, this came up during the Bayside Body Shop discussions, and when we were having that discussion and they were talking about their fence. So staff responded. We'd asked staff to look into this, and they responded and took it to the planning board immediately. So, any questions for Greg or comments?
So just to clarify, in that specific case, they already have their fence there. So this is where they would have a shrub or a tree or something every 10 feet on the outside of that fence? Or does that fence then become the buffer?
If you were looking at that site plan after this ordinance was amended, they could use a fence as a buffer, but they would still be required to put in the perimeter landscape.
Right, so they had it inside.
But
right.
It would not be inside the fence after the adoption of this ordinance. It would be on the outside so that the neighbors could, the incompatible use, which would be a residential use, would be able to look at the landscaping instead of just the fence.
Okay.
And I neglected one thing, is that it also clarified that you could group the plantings. There's some spacing guidelines, but it's more the number of plants that you have to have instead of, you don't have to space them every so often with the required landscaping, the perimeter landscaping. The buffer has very strict requirements, but the perimeter landscaping is different animal altogether.
Okay.
Thanks, Craig.
Great.
I have a question. Under F1 general, the first line, it says perimeter landscaping area, or landscaped area rather. May has been struck and it says shall, and I think I understand that part. And then further down under A, 2A, like on the fourth line down on the right, must is lined out and it says shall. In this context, what's the difference between those two? between must and shall. Is there a reason that was changed, or?
Well, legally, I'm not licensed to practice law, so I'd have to ask our counsel, but I think it's just consistency. And you know, I'm not sure legally what the difference between must and shall should be, but I do believe that they're pretty much the same, but it's good to be consistent.
So we must or we shall have consistency. Okay, that's fine with me. I was just curious. And, you know, I did have a question on the landscaping. Actually, I think it's 2B, where it says ornamental landscaping need not be spaced evenly, but rather dispersed. If there's a big, long fence, you know, 100 or a couple hundred feet, and they had just a group of trees, like in one place or two places, I don't know if it's serving a purpose to breaking up the profile of the fence. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, or.
I understand.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you had, I'm thinking of the place that was, brought a bunch of this up, and then, like on the one corner where the street is, if you had your 100 feet and you had your 10 trees planted right on that corner, the whole rest of the fence is still there, you know?
Meredith.
I got a poll.
Yeah, we'll have to move that for next meeting.
Yeah. And this does not address that. However, if you think of it as a business person who wants to maximize use of their property, they would have to pull their fence way onto their own property to fit all that vegetation in a big clump at one point. It would be to their benefit to spread it the length of the fence, because it would be less distance between their property line and that fence line. If they were to try to clump 10 trees, that would take 15 or 20 feet, and if their fence ran down, it has to be on the outside of the fence. So it doesn't specifically say it, but in practice, likely vegetation is going to be dispersed along the line, because they want the fence and the vegetation as close to that property line as possible, and that's what we've run into. And if you want it addressed, of course we can, but I just wanted to, in practice, it's not common for them to take up more space if they have a fence also.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this? Okay. Then a motion would be in order to schedule the public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we schedule the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That was an aye for.
That was an aye.
Okay, sorry. It was a late aye, but it was supporting. Okay. Unanimously, we scheduled the public hearing.
I must
All
be
right.
more clear.
Just quicker. Okay, sorry. Next is number C. This is the third item here for proposed amendment to Chapter 153 zoning, Section 153.070P, stormwater management, to clarify stormwater management requirements to be completed within the public right-of-way. Greg, one more time, please.
I'm not sure whether I should call on Steve to explain this, but it does fall in the zoning ordinance, so I will let you off the hook, Steve. But what happened is there was a call for some clarity on that particular section that based on discussion at the board level. So that is exactly what we tried to do here, and we've added some words. We've basically tried to say that these stormwater improvements, when they're in the right of way, and I'll give you a prime example. If you're building a single family home and you have a ditch or a swale, then that would be the property owner's responsibility to improve that area by putting in a culvert and possibly tying the swale in to what exists on either side of it, and whatever it says in our stormwater management plan. So we added the words adjoining after the improvements, so that would kind of tie it back to the adjoining property that's in question, and it would also be related. We added that word, And then instead of approved by the Public Services Department, as required by the Public Services Department. And got rid of some old Public Works Department language that is antiquated, and we no longer have that department. And added certificate of occupancy to it. So, yeah, capitalized it, I'm sorry. So there's some house cleaning here and some clarification, and the town attorney has been involved with it, and I'll ask him or public service directors if they have any comment. Otherwise, the planning board recommended that it be approved on April 15th, and staff recommends setting the public hearing for May 12th.
Thank you, Greg. Does anyone have any questions for Greg or Steve or Tony or Steve on this?
No.
Any comments or questions?
I just have one, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, but right under the code number there, and it's under P, that first sentence, shall be required to provide culvert pipes, swales, any improvements in the adjoining right-of-way. Is it and any improvements, or and improvements, or?
There's another and at the end of the
There's-
sentence.
yeah, and other related.
Grammatically, I'm not sure.
Oh, well, I read it a couple of times and I wasn't sure I got it, and I'm still not, but. What does any improvements constitute? Is it like other stuff besides the culvert pipes and swales? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, there's the two main items that we do for example, back to the residential world, and I guess in some commercial, is you would put a dip in the driveway if you had no real formalized deep ditch. So it can be the way the driveway is formed as well within the public right-of-way. And of course, there's a section that says you've got to have asphalt or concrete in the right-of-way as well. So it's the type of materials and the way they're installed as well.
So it's intentionally flexible because sometimes it's specific to the design or that property, which Public Services Department would be the one to specify that requirement.
If I read it real fast, I get it, but if I read it slow.
I'm telling you to keep speeding up.
I know,
I'm trying.
speed up, I know.
I'm trying.
Thank you
Any
very
other
much.
questions or comments? Not a motion would be in order.
I make a motion that we set the public hearing for May the 12th.
Or second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you. Okay, under new business item number 2, there are 2 appointments to the Board of Adjustment. I'm moving my packet for that. Commissioner Hogan, we normally call on you to kind of run these, but either I can do it or you can do it.
No,
or
that's
what?
fine.
You good? Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. There's 2 regular terms, regular positions coming up on the Zoning Board of Adjustments, and the 2 people that are there right now, Richard Bear and Mike Loack, both wish to be considered for reappointment, and I would like to make a motion in that regard.
I'll second.
Any comments or discussion? Mike is here tonight, so I'll take an opportunity to thank him for serving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. And Richard has been, served on the Zoning Board of Adjustment since 1985. And I know I served on the zoning board with him a number of years ago, not that many. But anyway, and he's a true asset to that board, and with the knowledge that he brings, he's great. So anyway, there's a motion and a second. And all in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thanks again. Okay, last under new business is item number 3. The Community Appearance Commission has brought forth a recommendation. This is in your packet. The recommendation is to consider lowering the current oceanfront floor area ratio. This was brought up by one of the was brought to the Community Appearance Commission from one of the committee members who serves on that, who actually used to serve on the planning board. And I guess he was on the planning board when there were some changes made to this. And he thought it was a good time to reconsider the floor area ratio and looking at how that's written. So basically, I'm going to let either Greg or Meredith explain it, but ultimately what they're looking at is for us tonight not to be making a decision on this other than to be saying, yes, let's start the process and send it to the planning board. That's what the Community Appearance Committee is recommending. But Greg, do you mind just providing a little bit more information? Thank you.
What has happened is over the years, there was a request that was approved to redo the way we look at oceanfront density. And it was done by units per acre. And the request was to look at density in a different way by using the floor area ratio. And that's not altogether bad. There was a lot of discussion about that. What ended up was the board basically adopted a 0.6 floor area ratio, which means if you have an acre of land, you get to build 0.6 of an acre of heated area essentially, and that is a whole lot more than what existed out there, generally existed out there. I think maybe the Ramada Inn came close to give you an idea about what 0.6 looks like, or the Croatan Surf Club is right at 0.6, depending on how you look at it, I guess. It's close, or some people might even say it's more, but it's a big building that you have. Shoulder to shoulder on the beach road and change the way our oceanfront looks, and that's kind of why it was brought up at the Community Appearance Commission. And they were going, if this were to become the norm rather than the exception, then you would have a more massive oceanfront construction. But when you rode down the beach road, it would look a lot different. So that was why it was brought up, and then the Community Appearance Commission was discussing possibly working with the planning board to communicate exactly why they felt like it was important. And that recommendation has since come to you, and see what you think about it. And if you think it's a valid approach, then we'll work toward that.
Thank you. Questions for Greg? And we also have Sue Kelly, the chair of the Community Appearance Committee, is here. And Melinda is on that Community Appearance Commission. Actually, we have several members that are on the Community Appearance Commission, so they're here if you have any questions as well.
One question, at least the Croatan Surf Club example that you mentioned, if that project came forward under FAR.
It did.
Okay, so this is just lowering that. Would that? So if it says consider lowering the current oceanfront floor area ratio.
Mm-hmm.
Is that decreasing the amount of potential building area?
Mass.
Okay,
it would. I don't know the numbers on it, but let's just say it has 0.6 is 100,000 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you reduce that by half, then you would get 50,000 square feet. If you went to 0.3, it would be 50,000 square feet. I'm just making up numbers because I don't remember how big the Croatan Surf Club is. Probably way bigger than that.
From 0.6 to 0.5 to 1 acre, that would reduce your external footprint from 126 feet to 105 feet.
Right.
Okay.
Wow. So it would essentially, you couldn't build it back unless, I say you couldn't build it back. We have a casualty clause in our ordinance that would allow, if it was wiped out by a hurricane, you could fit it on there, or it was burned down, you could fit it back. But I mean, you couldn't build one next door to it if you made it 0.6. You reduce that to 0.3, and in theory, it'd be half as big.
Okay, so a term that's kind of popular with the locals is mini hotels, so the larger homes on the beach road. How would this affect future building sites for them?
This really, and I put in my notes here after I read this, it applies to multifamily. Our normal 1 and 2 family dwellings are not affected by the floor area ratio.
Okay.
This is for those buildings other than 1 and 2 family dwellings.
Meredith, did you have comments to share,
And
please?
just to clarify, it used to be done by units per acre. Units per acre didn't address mass. When the amendment came through to switch from units per acre to floor area ratio, that was actually a welcomed change. The number of the floor area ratio is what the CAC wanted to discuss because it deals with the mass, and the mass is what your appearance is based on as to how big and covering a building is. So the floor area ratio, like you said, if you reduce it, the mass of the building would be reduced rather than reducing it by units per acre, because some can make a really big unit and not change the mass of the building at all. So the floor area ratio is a good concept. It was just the CAC wanted the board to consider lowering it back down to a level that was consistent with what we have on our oceanfront today that wasn't built under the floor area ratio. And a lot of that work was done back in 2006, where floor area ratios were calculated for our existing multifamily structures, so that the board would have some idea of where we sat at that moment in time.
Okay. And does it include units using a floor area ratio? Is that on a single level, or is that floor area ratio?
It's for gross floor area, and that was also defined as part of that amendment in 2006. Gross floor area is basically all your heated space, but it does not include open decks, attics, open parking under the building. It's basically heated living space.
Okay.
And Sue Kelly's behind you. Sue, did you have some comments that you'd like to share?
Thank you. Meredith said something really important, and that is, when you're talking about units per acre, you're not necessarily defining the size of a unit, so it could vary tremendously. I think I'll just say that what the Community Appearance Commission hopes is that we can open a discussion on this issue. I know that our concern is that we exist for and by and through the beach. It is what we are, a beach community. So we're very concerned that we never end up looking like a place that's too jammed to be able to get to the beach. So we would like to see you, our elected officials, have a discussion around the issue, and the planning board, about this whole question of what's the right size to go on the beach to keep our beach as great as it is. And we think 0.6 is an awful lot. So we'd like to just have a discussion about the possibility of lowering it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue, while you're there for a moment, if this board approves sending this to the planning board, is it possible, whatever night that's scheduled for their meeting, that you and a couple of members from the Community Appearance Committee can go to the planning board? Because I do think it's important for them to hear, not just, there's meeting minutes, but I think it's important for them to be able to hear, verbally from you and a couple other members of the committee why this is important and why you want this to be considered.
We've already made that a decision, that we will be at any planning meeting that takes up any issue that we are interested in or have proposed. We have James Almany, of course, who's the representative from the planning board to our commission, and that's really helpful also. But absolutely, I've been going to planning board meetings now, the last few, or certainly when we have an agenda item.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your leadership for that group as well.
I would like to see some specific examples of what is 0.6 and 0.4.
Actually, the planning department has a slide presentation that they can be happy to share with you.
All right.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple times in different contexts, the slides. It's pretty, really gives you a good idea of what you're looking at, yeah. I know, when I was on the planning board, this was discussed, and I'm just going by memory, but I do know for sure that the planning board voted 6-0 against the 6.6 FAR. And the questions that were in our most recent citizen survey regarding visual corridors and crowding on the beach and various other questions relating to appearance indicated that this is something that the public would not be in favor for. Favor of, but the specific question wasn't asked because it wasn't an issue at the time when the survey came out. But the consensus pretty much everywhere at that time was against it. The only place that it wasn't was with the sitting board at the time, Board of Commissioners. So, and when I spoke to the planning department about this, when the CAC brought it up, I was saying, well, we should just get rid of it. But they explained to me that it does have a purpose, and it does work, and it's good if you have a number that's much more reasonable that you can deal with. And they had talked about maybe a 0.3 or maybe allow a 0.35 certain incentives if they would grant us an easement for beach access, even if it's just a 5 or 10 foot path, so that some of the neighborhoods, there's one part of the beach where there's like 1,400 feet and there's no accesses. So, and there was a piece of property involved in that area at this time, which we tried to get an easement for. We were unsuccessful, but I know at the Community Appearance Commission meetings, and there was a lot of discussion about the visual corridors and the crowding and such, and I think that's what the CAC is looking for us to look into.
Are the surrounding towns using FAR?
I don't think anybody in Dare County is.
I think at the time, we were the only ones in the state using it. Now that's, again, that's my memory, but I remember pretty much looking for examples and we couldn't find any.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
Is anyone prepared to make a motion?
Actually,
Yep.
just direction.
Or just, yeah, we don't need
Yes,
a
ma'am.
motion, just, do we want to direct this to the planning board then?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, is there
I-
consensus on that? Great, okay, thank you. So there's direction, so, thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Can I ask a question before you move on? You're going on to the commissioner's agenda next?
Mm-hmm.
When I saw the agenda notice last week, I didn't notice, I was anticipating a second public comment
There,
section.
there
Yeah,
will
it's
be
coming.
on the back, it's still coming up.
On the back. I beg your pardon.
That's okay.
You've had that
Quite all
day.
right.
We'll call on you then.
I didn't see it
No
either.
problem. Okay,
Thank you, Mike.
all right. Commissioner Midget, anything this evening?
Yes, last meeting, we found out about the house that burned down and how tragic that was. And I was interested in seeing about putting in some type of disaster clause that would allow for use of a travel trailer for a limited amount of time till they could, someone could sort out what's going on with their property and what they're going to do and protect their belongings.
You guys want to comment on that? Bless you. On that request, any thoughts on that?
I think at the time that we talked about, bless you, John, that if it was a state of emergency, that we already have, FEMA would come in and we already have similar types of things. So you're talking more an isolated case.
Yeah, like whether it's a flood or hurricane or house burns down.
I think what Commissioner Midget's saying, Commissioner Appleman's saying, there's a difference between when the mayor has declared a state of emergency and how things would be handled versus an isolated incident.
Right.
So what you're talking about would be an isolated incident,
Sure.
such as what was mentioned that evening, not if the town in Dare County is in a state of emergency.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
One of the problems with that, I think, would be that once something like that's in place, it's very difficult to get it removed. And we've had instances throughout the history of the town where there's been the eyesores, for instance, or things that were illegal, and trying to get them removed is very, very difficult and time-consuming and costly as far as going to court and having Steve work for us and trying to get, one of them lasted 10 years, so trying to get a situation resolved. And I'm afraid if we do this on an individual basis and we allow someone to maybe construct some facility that doesn't meet code temporarily, or use a travel trailer or a pop-up tent or whatever. It sounds good in the beginning, but in the end, if you might have difficulty in getting it, remediated. So it could open I think it could open a door that maybe we don't want a path we don't may want to go down, personally.
Yeah, that's really where my head is. I mean, certainly with the case that you're bringing up, I mean, it was horrible and certainly a tragedy, but I don't know that it's in the best interest of the town-wide to be looking at something like that, because it does, I mean, you're setting up something that one is could be very challenging to regulate, and could easily, you know, with the nature of our town and the tourism industry, then you get into determining, well, what's one's person tragedy, maybe, what level of house fire is it, everything, and how do you decide who can get a trailer, using that as an example, or who couldn't, or when you consider something a significant enough tragedy to make some type of exception or allowance. When you look at it as one individual isolated case, it's easy, but when you try to open it up and say we're going to establish something town-wide that we're putting in, that's when it becomes really difficult. And the hard part, recently, I've just been dealing with a number of emails from some citizens, and when they write with a concern, or some may have an issue, they're focused on a very narrow issue that they're describing and presenting to me. And what's really hard that I find sitting in the seat sometimes is I can't look at that with just that particular issue or incident. I have to go, okay, here's their issue, but how do I look at that town-wide, and what are the implications? And that's where it's really hard, and I found over the past couple of weeks, some people completely, they don't understand my response back because they want me to only look at their situation, because understandably that's what's important to them.
Right.
They're not sitting in the seat where they have to look town-wide, and so just that's a, really elaborate on your comments, Mike, because wearing that hat is where I just don't see that what you're suggesting to look at would be in the best interest town-wide.
It would be too easy to abuse, is what you're saying, right?
I have to reiterate that, and that's my comment with everything, and I deal with that on a daily basis as well. The rules are there for a reason, and that's you just have to. As hard as that is to say in a situation like this, that's why they're there.
Yeah, and I think I know Dana can attest to this. If there's a situation like the one that was here before, and the people were concerned about their belongings or whatever that was left there, or their property in general, that very simply, if you notify the police department, they can be extra vigilant on keeping an eye on that property. I know they do that now, and they would continue to do that in the future, right, Dana?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else? Commissioner Appleman?
A couple things. It looks like the work on the sidewalks has begun. So saw some things being moved around. So really glad to see that project going forward. The other was the student presentation on the beach accesses. Reminded me of a conversation that we've had before on even us sitting here. Sometimes we pick our beach accesses based on the facilities that are available at that specific beach access. I know I do.
Me too.
What do we need to do to follow up on potentially doing some of those site improvements in some of these? I think some of that is potentially in the budget, or at least in the budget plan from the capital workshop. But
yeah, I was going to say, some of it carried forth from the capital improvement workshop. I know one of the topics was what funding towards the fund.
Recreation?
The access, is that right?
Shoreline.
Beach access, shoreline access.
Shoreline improvements. So I think the appropriate, probably next step for discussion would be at our budget workshop, which we have yet to schedule, but when we are ready to schedule that, that's when we'll have received the budget, and we can start working through what money we have to maybe look at what improvements we could make.
Okay.
And prioritizing those along with all of the other things on
Exactly.
our list. But yeah, but absolutely we need to have that discussion, and I think that would be the appropriate place to do that.
Okay. All right, that's
Appropriate next step. Great. Thank you. Commissioner Rippon?
I don't have anything tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I have one thing. We've been talking to some associations over at our Bermuda Bay to try to see if we can get some easier access temporarily to our bomb track so we can get a start on our disc golf course. And a couple of reasons why we think that's a good idea right now, even prior to having the final report from our Surface 678 company that's doing the research for us back there in the planning for potential facilities. One thing is we have a significant amount of money pledged to pay for it, more than enough, I understand from talking to people in the know, that would pay to have it, pay for the equipment, and a lot of the work would be done by the aficionados of the game. They assure me that they would be happy to get back there and set it up. And it's another good point is something that can be easily moved. It's not permanent whatsoever. It's not. It makes a very, very light footprint. Other than maybe a walking path back there in the future, it probably has the lightest footprint of any of the issues we've discussed. And we've had meetings with the Bermuda Bay Homeowners Association, Hamilton Cay Homeowners Association, Cambridge Cove Owners Association, Southampton Mews Association, and Devonshire Owners Association, all the ones that are right at the currently have influence back there and have the control of the areas. And so far at this point, everybody's been agreeable, and we've had a kind of a draft contract drawn up. The only thing that they ask is that their only concern was possible a little bit increase in traffic. We don't suspect it would be too much. And they asked for maybe us to consider doing some traffic calming devices just for the part from the main road, Collington Road, back to where the access will be. And I believe we would do that in-house. Is that right? It's a very small project. What do you call them? Tables?
Speed tables.
Speed tables. We're not talking about bumps. We're just talking about little things. And very, very minimal cost to the town. And anyway, that's where we are right now. And there's a contract that's either is or going to be presented to them to take a look at, and if their associations approve it, it'll come back to us, and then we can make a decision on whether or not we want to do it. But we've got that $15,000 offer out there to have it done, and the people that are would really like to see it are anxious to get it started. And it's something, as I said, that it can be moved around and adjusted to whatever plan we come up with in the final draft. Anyway, I just want to give you that report, and then that'll be coming to us maybe as soon as the next meeting, or maybe in June.
I think that's great to hear. I'm excited. I think that's great. And I'm pleased to see how well the meetings and the negotiations have gone between the homeowners associations and the town. I think from what I understand and speaking with one of the representatives, they see it's a good use of that area back there, and they welcome it. So
yeah, the reason we're doing it back there, to one other thing just to clarify, is the way we go back there now is back around the football field and the track, and you go back that way, and we have public works stuff going on back there, and it's really not conducive to having people go through there, and it's I wouldn't say dangerous necessarily, but it's not convenient whatsoever. But back there, there's one spot back there in Bermuda Bay that is just, it couldn't be more perfect for just, all the parking's back there that was put in originally, and there's no condos, so they said, I don't have a problem with people parking there, so it really works out well.
great. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to Mayor's agenda. I have one item that's in your packet, and then just two other things to mention. In your packet is a resolution urging increased awareness of Lyme disease and its symptoms and diagnosis. It's basically requesting to adopt a proclamation establishing May 2014 as Lyme Disease Awareness Month in Killable Hills. And there's also a public health, about 4 pages of information on Lyme disease. So for anyone specific to North Carolina, if you didn't have a packet, you can go online and get this information. Really, if you're not aware of Lyme disease and kind of other, tick-borne illnesses, it certainly would be worth your time to read this information that you can find on our website. But with that, I would welcome a motion to adopt this proclamation.
I make a motion that we adopt this proclamation.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. Other than that, Commissioner Appleman mentioned the sidewalks, and I do think that's really exciting to see the work that's being done. It started, I guess, last Thursday or Friday, with all the pink flags the little pink flags being put up to mark the sidewalks. And I was coming back in from being out of town for work and saw those and was very, very excited. First I was like, wow, what are all the pink flags? And then I just drove a little bit further, and it easily, when I noticed how they were in between the goat paths or in between sidewalk sections, it immediately, it dawned on me what they were for. Tomorrow we'll be recording, it's tomorrow, the spotlight for the meetings for Kittleville Hills, and I think we're going to do a special spotlight just to highlight the sidewalks and kind of the path and whatnot. So I'm too very, very excited to see that. It was interesting. We were talking about that at a trash attack meeting just before this meeting, and Tony had shared that he was out there for, 20, 30 minutes at the site, and he said at least 5 citizens came up to him and thanked him for putting those in. So already, even before they can use it, people are excited about the sidewalks. So, and now seeing how much of the beach it's going to cover. I mean, we really, I think, did a great job and great decision by the board, getting it kind of the greatest bang for our buck and doing what we're doing. And the fact that it's also going to be in place along with the start of our season is just great work. So I'm excited about that. The other thing I want to do is, we had a great display this evening, and being able to recognize the children for their artwork was fun. And but really, my hat's off to the Trash Attack Committee and the staff that are supporting that committee. Hopefully we will have a great event on Saturday, May 10th. We're certainly looking for people to sign up and help us collect trash. You can sign up online on the town's website. You can sign up that morning at 9 a.m., but if you want to be guaranteed, one of the first 100 people to get your T-shirt, and these are pretty cool T-shirts, they're going to have the town logo on them, then, sign up online or stop by and sign up at Town Hall. But I would hate for you to be the 101st person and not have your T-shirt. So, anyway, I'm signing up because I want my T-shirt. And it's going to be fun to collect trash. But a huge thanks to, I think he might have already stepped out, but Ross and his work with Mary and what they did with getting the artwork on our trash trucks. When you go out, I'm not sure if they're still here tonight, but you'll see it driving by your house sooner or later. That really looks great. And Steve and Tony and Brian, the work that you guys and Billy Guard's been involved too with the committee. We are very organized and very strategic, which I love strategic thinking, but they have helped create these maps to really guide our volunteers on the most critical areas in need of trash collection throughout our town. And so the morning when people check in at 9 a.m. at Aviation Park to start the trash collection, we're going to be able to give out very site-specific town maps that the staff have helped generate, and then direct people to focus on a targeted section that needs cleaning in the town. So we really will be getting the most out of the volunteer effort that people are putting in. So thank you all for being a part of that. So, and that is all that I have. So let's move on to the town manager's agenda.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Town attorney's agenda?
Nothing for you.
Okay, consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. 2 items on the consent agenda. The first, minutes from March 10th and April 7th, 2014. Second item, 4 budget amendments. The first one is to appropriate grant funds for annual sand fixing. This is the remainder from last year. It's just moving it into this year's budget. If you remember, we had the larger amount at a previous in a previous budget amendment. The second one is to appropriate the funds for the board members' appreciation reception. third is to provide funds for body armor for undercover officers. And lastly is to record the Government Access Channel Grant. Number 8, staff would recommend approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion, comments? I'll make one comment related to 2B, the board member reception. We had a really great attendance at that, and I assume you all heard some of the same comments I did, which was very appreciative volunteers and board and committee members who were able to attend that event. I think it was a great way for us to see them face to face and thank them for their service to us. So that was great.
If I may also add, George's Restaurant was very gracious in working with the town. As you recall, we had to postpone it, and they were really good in working with us with that. So
Great. And they were
thanks.
wonderful hosts because it was a
Yes.
great evening. So, okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
That was not in opposition. That was unanimously approved. Okay, now we're moving into the second public comment time set aside this evening. Jack, can I call on you first? I think you want to speak at public comment.
That was just a senior moment that.
Hey, no worries.
Could print on the back of paper.
Trying to be as green as possible. Welcome, Jack.
Jack McCombs, I live at 917 Cedar Drive. In reference to your proclamation on Lyme disease, I'm probably one of the few people that live in Kill Devil Hills that actually got Lyme disease while in Kill Devil Hills. Wow. My wife and I own an adjacent lot to our property, and I was in cleaning up that lot. I didn't know that the tick had got on me. I took that tick for a 100-mile bike ride. And it wasn't until that ride was over that I noticed this thing. And, well, long story short, I was very, very fortunate. It was caught the very next day because coincidentally I had a dermatology appointment. And I asked him to look at it, and he said, that tick definitely has Lyme disease, and you got it right now. So I was on 1 month of the most powerful antibiotics, and it really did wreck me for a month. Yes. So it can happen here. So if anybody asks you about, we don't have that disease in Kill Devil Hills, yes, we do. What I wanted to talk about was to support Rick Gray's comments to you about the community care clinic. As most of you know, I have an organization that's informal. We don't have officers or anything, called the Silver Riders. We come from every community in Dare County, and we're active. We're nearly all retired, by the way. But we're involved with our churches. We're involved in many community activities. So we get to hear a lot of things in the community that I think most people are not exposed to. We desperately need that community care clinic. They do some great work. Some of these people without insurance have not been successful signing up for the commonly called Obamacare. And they need some help. If you have, and one person just told me 2 days ago, she and her husband don't have insurance, they have children, and her thyroid gland does not work anymore. And this is a dangerous situation. The community care clinic is taking care of her. So if there is a person in our community that can help people like this get established in that insurance plan, I sure would like it to take that information to this person. I'm not going to reveal where the person works at or anything because of privacy concerns. But if you have that, please give me the name and telephone number. Last year when CCCD did their first bike event, the Silver Riders supported them strongly, and I think and it had minimal involvement except for us. We turned out in force, and we helped them raise some good money. And then we were told that they were going to host another event this year. And at the same time, another of our members found out that CASA was going to host an event about the same time. So we got involved with both organizations and put them together, and now they're partnered. We have suggested 2 dates in October for them that do not clash with other events that would draw people away from the Outer Banks. And I suggested to Rick in an email exchange that tonight is an opportunity to first bring the public's attention to this event that's coming, bicycle event that's coming up in probably October, but that's TBD. I have, some of you know, I've advocated bicycle events in the Outer Banks, and I've never been able to get the thing off the ground, but there's potential for these two organizations to do that. And believe me, I've said this many times, going back several years, that if we do this properly, the impact of bicycling events on the Outer Banks will be much greater than what we're seeing in the Outer Banks Marathon. And that's not a pipe dream. One other thing that I like to talk about, the Silver Riders, we're a pretty good bike crew. For the last 2 years at the state senior games, we have caused Dare County to be #1 in the state. Out of 100 counties, we have won more medals than any of the other counties. I think that's a remarkable achievement because we're flatlanders. We don't have hills or anything. I expect that we're going to do the same thing. We have our county games, the bike races next Tuesday. They're around the Wright Memorial. If you folks don't have anything to do at 6 o'clock in the morning, come out and watch it because you're going to see some pretty remarkable athletes. They range from age 50 up to 87. Now, it's true that we cannot keep up with the real young people, but we're darn good. And quite often, many of us defeat young people, and we have among our ranks state champions in both North Carolina and in Virginia. And I expect this year is going to be the 3rd year in a row that we lead North Carolina. I also suspect we're going to win a lot of medals in the Virginia games on May 17th. So if you're not doing anything, come out and you'll see some pretty remarkable athletes. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak at this? Yes, Howard.
My name's Howard Kimball. I live at 803 West Sportsman Drive. I was on the planning board when the FAR was approved, and of course, like Mike said, it was voted unanimously by the planning board. And I don't know, it's going to come back to us now, but I ask that each one of you commissioners, between now and the time that something comes back to you, take a ride down Beach Road and take a good look at the Croatan Surf Club, because it is huge on that lot. It's, especially if you look at the wing that goes down the side. I mean, it's just mammoth. So just for your information, go down and take a look. The other thing about the parking the trailer so people can rebuild. It was my understanding that they applied for a permit for temporary power. Well, if you're going to live in a trailer, there was no mention of water. There was no mention of sewer. So I don't know what they were going to do about that, but I think y'all's decision tonight was the correct decision on putting that to bed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Howard.
Thank you, Howard. Thanks. Yes, Sue.
It's been a long and very interesting meeting, so I won't take much time. I have here a copy of the 2013 annual report of the Community Appearance Commission, and I will give it to you all. I think you've probably already seen it, and anybody in the audience who would like to have one, please take it. And also, I will say very briefly, we are always interested in our citizens' ideas about what we should do to make our town the most attractive it can be. So if you have any ideas, please get them to us, okay? And thank you so much.
And Sue, I know you've been attending a lot of meetings lately, but if I would actually like to ask, I think the information that you've put together in this annual report is really good information that, in addition to us having a copy, I would love for you to present that. So can I ask that you be as an agenda item at our next Board of Commissioners meeting if you're in town, and actually you present?
You want me to just hold on to it till then, or do you want your copies tonight?
Since you have the copies, we'll go ahead and take them, but I think it would be worth you being able to share so the citizenry understands the work that you and the committee have been doing.
Thank you. We'd be more than happy to do that.
Great. Is everyone okay with
Yes.
having that as an agenda item?
Wonderful.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else that would like to? Yes, Mike.
Mike Lowack, 106 Porthole Court. How y'all doing? I'd like to start this off with one question, because I am a little bit disappointed about the way the decorative flags vote went. Is there any rule in place right now governing those flags?
Yes.
Just the number?
We do have, in the packet, there's a, it shows what the existing ordinance is.
Okay, so there is an existing
There
ordinance.
is, but it doesn't address, in any way, it doesn't address the condition nor the quantity.
Or the type?
Well, it does the quantity, yeah. We'll get, how about we can get you that copy, or I can give you the one in the packet, but.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, but it doesn't,
The condition's not in it.
the condition's not in all, and the.
Nor the type, only the amount.
I think the size and the quantity is there now, right?
Right, well, and the quantity, but the issue with the quantity is it, what came up in discussion, both at the planning board and at the community appearance, and, was that a strip mall could have, each business within a strip mall could have the same number as one. So, for example, Lowe's could have 2, and you take a shopping center that has
Like where the toy
5 or 6
gallery is.
businesses, they could have 12 flags. So this ordinance, the proposed ordinance, was to try to streamline and regulate that.
So each individual business could still keep the number of flags.
As of tonight, there were no changes made, so
Okay.
there's,
You know, because
Two
I just
purposes.
wanted to point out that when I drive through Nags Head and Kitty Hawk, I get a much different feeling than when I drive down our bypass. And, you know, things are the way they are, and I guess they're there for a reason. But I would like for us to become a leader and have other people following us as far as appearance. And, you know, we're the only town with streetlights. And I really think that's a great thing. What I don't want to see under those streetlights is the unregulated flags. I mean, that's just an example. There's many other things. I think keeping them off out of the right of way is a good idea for when they do blow down. And I also think that when they do become a nuisance or an eyesore, that they take them down. You know, because I mean, it just doesn't seem to me to be a warm and friendly and inviting place that we have things that look that trashy out there. And that's all I was saying. I didn't want to over-regulate these people, but I also thought that they are using those flags more or less to get around the sign ordinances by having additional signs to draw the people in. And I'm all for businesses. I want them to have as many people as they can so they can thrive, because it's an important part of our community. But I also believe that there has to be a level playing field for all. And it's not fair to the ones that do keep up with it when there's the one bad apple that makes it all look bad. And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak at public comment this evening? Okay. Let's move to response to public comment. We actually, response to public comment.
Mike, if I might respond, I'm going to say a couple of things. I made that very point from this chair about the flag is nothing more than another sign, and I pointed out that if it was made of wood, you wouldn't allow it. So, I mean, I think, to me, that's pretty simple, but, and, right, exactly. And the idea of differences of opinion on whether its flag is faded or, yeah, or flated, or tattered, and I know they're talking about inches and 2 inches and things like that, you know, but I'd like to finish by explaining my vote before. I would rather we didn't have the flags. That's a really even playing field. And it eliminates, in my mind, the idea that they have another flag. I mean, it's whoever it says, I mean, you know, Joe's Sub Shop or whatever, I mean, it's a sign to me. And even though there was some conditions on the condition of the flags that was proposed this evening, I still in good conscience couldn't vote to allow the flags, because I don't want the flags in any condition. So I kind of want to explain my vote, and then to point out that I feel exactly like you do about the flags. They're just another sign, and the insistence by some of the business people and some of the people that are in favor of it, they make it sound like these businesses are going to collapse if they don't have them, and that's not true. So anyway, thank you for bringing that up.
Any other?
Yeah, I certainly don't, I agree, I don't think a business is going to collapse if they don't have flags. If my main objective, or my main objection, was the potential amount of damage that could be there prior to someone being able to complain. Treating them as a sign, though. I mean, right now we're allowed a certain square footage of signs on the property, right? And do these flags currently fit under that? So
Yes.
that's already there. So
They are a sign.
so it's just not the condition or how they're displayed. So I think we just need to be careful of how much we try to regulate some of those things.
That flag's not included in the square footage of sign allowance, right?
There's a maximum square footage of a flag, and you're allowed 2 per property, so there is a maximum square footage, but it's not the 60 square foot freestanding sign, no.
You get a 64-foot, right?
Right.
Freestanding sign, and then in addition to that, you get the flags.
Signs on your
The
building.
two.
Right. So that's not, it's not like they have 50 and then 14 on the flag. That's additional. So they could have, do the math, I guess, 80, I don't know, I'm not that quick a thinker, but they could have 80 feet of advertising, put it that way. So, okay.
Okay. Jack, when you do have, going back to your comments, when you have the dates, will you please just certainly let us know? And actually, depending on where the event's going to be held, the bicycling event,
We made the
keep us posted.
recommendation to them, but their joint committee will have to do the
Sure.
selection of it now.
Okay. Let us know.
Yeah, and good luck with the race this weekend, or Tuesday.
Well, now, Brandy will be there.
Part of my job. I have to be there.
I am going to be at the opening ceremonies on Friday. So
She's a silver
we'll be there.
rider, huh?
Okay. And Howard, thank you for your comments.
Yes,
Anything
Howard,
else?
thank you.
Anyone have anything else? Okay. Well, then a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Anything else? All those in favor, please
Aye.
signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.